Hi guys, this is a portrait lens from Viltrox. It is a 56mm F1.4 sitting on my little Dougie here, my little ZV-E10. Now for $280, you can get portraits that look like this. Now I think this thing is an absolutely great value, but it has a few flaws. Are they fatal for you? Let's talk about it. So the first thing you're going to notice when you pull this thing out of the box is the fantastic build quality. It's all metal. Like, listen to this. That's the lens hood. Even the lens hood is metal. And the fact is, I didn't expect it to be metal, nor did I expect a metal lens to be this light. It is, I think it's 290 grams. I'll put it up on the screen what the real weight is. And I was really, really impressed with this lens, and it has an aperture ring, which I love. Normally I love. On this lens I do not. We will talk about that in a minute. But one of the other things I loved about this lens is that it had very little focus breathing, which is really good for video. Not that you would use this lens for video. Normally you would use this for portraits, taking pictures of people's dumb faces. But do you want to try it? You want to? Yeah, let's try it. Let's see what it looks like. Portrait-y. I had to move back about 12 feet from the camera to make this shot look remotely sensible. And you may notice that my face shape looks a little bit different because I was using a 24mm lens on my A7 IV, and now this on the A7 IV is equivalent to about an 84mm lens. The camera just went into APS-C crop mode. In case you don't know, that happens with the Sony full-frame cameras. You can stick on the APS-C lenses. Anyway, I digress. My face may look a little bit different. I'm sure it's still gorgeous, but a lot of people like the way that the lens makes your facial features look, and that's one of the reasons it's such a popular focal length for all of these portraits. It is the noisiest time ever on my street right now. Doesn't matter. We're here to talk about this lens, and I mean, you can, I guess, use this as a video lens if you see fit. Stick this on a gimbal depending on what kind of focal range you want, and you know, if you're outside like I am here, this is not that bad. Actually, I'm about 10 feet, I would say, from the camera, and as you can see, the focus breathing is extremely minimal. Now, its minimum focus distance is about 60 centimeters, which is about par for the course of a, I'm just looking at myself here in the, whoa, look at all that bokeh. I'm just looking at the LCD screen here. That is cray-cray. Anyway, let's go in and talk a little bit more about this lens. So we are back in the comfort of my studio where I like to dwell because there are no humans here to judge me for making my silly YouTube videos. I have the 56 from Viltrox right here, and I will actually show you a bunch of portraits of my family that I took when I was visiting, and so you can see it as a portrait lens. I will also compare it directly to the 85mm f1.8 from Sony. I used an A7 III and this lens, and I used the Viltrox on my little ZV-E10 that you're looking at right now, and I think the results are pretty favorable. Anyway, you're going to see. But also this lens, it doesn't have to just be a portrait lens. You know, you can take landscapes if you want. In fact, I took it on a little photo walk, and I took some landscape photos, and I'll show you those now. Okay, so now I will show you for what this lens was intended. I will show you some portraits, and after that, I will come back and talk about the drawbacks of this lens and see if these drawbacks are too big for you. Okay, first we're going to take a look here at the lady who hangs out near my house. I took a picture here with the full frame, the 85mm f1.8, so it's a full frame, and over here is the little ZV-E10 with the Viltrox 56mm 1.4, and to me both pictures look really great, and for the price, that Viltrox, boy oh boy, that is punching above its price point. It looks great here, and if you zoom in you will see that the Viltrox is a little softer here. This is the eye focused on the left eye, and it's a little bit softer than the 1.8 here from Sony, but then we're talking about a whole lot more money, and the Viltrox, when you stop it down to an f2.8, it is about as sharp as any lens you're going to find. But here, if you just take a step back and you look at the overall pictures, look at the bokeh, you know, look at the colors, look at it just, I mean, it is It is a really good bargain. I'm going to show you one of the drawbacks of the lens here on the 85 1.8 here on my A7 III. If you zoom in to 300% on the shoulder, you can see very little purple fringing. It does a very good job controlling that. Whereas on the Viltrox here, if you switch, you can see the purple fringing right here. And so you are going to get that on this lens. It is easily correctable in Lightroom. Go to a manual correction collection, and then you defringe it right there and select, and boom, there we go. It is gone pretty much. It's still a little tiny bit there, but definitely an acceptable amount of fringing. So you are going to have to pay attention to that with this lens. So right here, you can see how beneficial the lens might be. This is my niece just in her house, just with the window open, and you get that really nice separation from the background. Normally, if you take a photo in somebody's house, it doesn't look very good. But this, I mean, you talk little family photo, I just snapped that pic. I just grabbed it. In fact, look at this. This is a picture of me in that same home that I gave the camera to my niece, and I said, just press the button, and she did, and look how gorgeous. I mean, you know, it is me, so it's going to look good. Look at another couple of shots here. My youngest decided to impale himself on a slide. It didn't seem to hurt him a lot, which I don't know if that's a good sign. Right here, he's just sliding down regularly. And this is the older one. I asked him to smile. That's what he came up with. This is the kind of thing that I am dealing with in my household. Another one of the little fella here on a swing. It focuses so fast that even the young fella swinging back and forth, I was able to get some nice snapshots. Very good to have for the family. Speaking of that, some of my sister's kids. Here's another one here. And here is 3 of them. My sister's in the background there. See that ruining my photo? I'm going to have to do some content-aware fill. Get her out of there. You know what I'm saying? So obviously you can get some great quality for $280 here, but there are some drawbacks that come with this lens. The first one is one that I mentioned in the picture thing that you just saw, which is that it's a bit softer wide open than some other lenses. The 85mm 1.8 is sharper when it's wide open, and there's another lens that I'll talk about in a second that is sharper than this wide open as well. It also has a little purple fringing problem, which you might have to eliminate in Lightroom depending on your type of photo. And the biggest drawback, in my opinion, is this aperture ring. It moves very smoothly. It is not a clicky aperture ring, and it moves way too easily. So even if you don't use it as the aperture ring and you put it on the A and then the camera controls the aperture, it's supposed to lock there, and it just clicks a little bit, and you can easily just move it with your finger. Taking it out of the camera bag one time, I moved it. All of a sudden, I was on F16. I didn't want to be on F16, but there it was. I actually ended up using a little bit of gaff tape to keep it stuck on the A there, and I don't want to do that. You know, I know it's a bit of a bargain lens, but I don't want to put a Band-Aid on my little fella. He looks so pretty. So Viltrox, if you are listening, you made a hell of a lens here, so I would just either get rid of this aperture ring or at least have a way to make it clicky. You know, have it declick or click. You know what I mean? Just so that it won't slip around like it does. It really, really hurt the shooting experience for me. And now we'll talk about the elephant in the room, and that is the 56mm F1.4 from Sigma. I reviewed this lens previously, and I love this lens. It is about as sharp of a lens as you can find, especially wide open. It's so crazy sharp. It is sharper than this one wide open, and also it doesn't have the purple fringing issue that this one has. So you may think, why would you not go with the 56? And the answer to me would be price. It's this one also, it looks nicer. I like the look of this, and I like the feel of this lens better, but that is not a good enough reason to buy a lens. But the price on B&H is $475 for the Sigma, and this one is $280, and that's a substantial difference. However, you can usually get the Sigma for around $400. Now when you're talking $400 to $280, I tell you what, if you're going to take a lot of portraits, I would probably save up and get the Sigma. But if you really want a lens on a budget, or you don't think you're going to be taking a ton of portraits, you can still get excellent quality with this guy at quite a bargain. It's really up to you, but if I'm putting down my money, if I have an extra $100, $120 to spend, then I am probably going to go with the 56mm F1.4. But depending on the country that you live in, that price difference could be much larger, or depending on your budget, you just might not have that extra 100 or however much it is in your country. So this lens is a very attractive option, and I am really glad Viltrox are in the lens game. Anyway, let's throw it over to Outside Mark there and let him get judged by all the cars that are driving past while he films that in the alleyway. So there you go. If you don't mind a few flaws, you can get bokeh on a budget right here. Fantastic autofocus lens with a great blurry background that lets in a lot of light for $280. So if that's what you're looking for, he's right here. Now, don't forget to like, subscribe if you haven't already. Don't forget to hit the bell and leave a comment. I'll be sure to answer a question. We got a nice comment section going here at Old Camera Crisis. Now, if you don't mind, I'm gonna go get lost in a little bokeh magic. Bye-bye.